I think we're gonna get started here. There we go, nice. So we're gonna get started here in just a minute. We'll get our speakers lined up over here. And welcome everyone to 505 Food Court. I think everyone around here has probably been here and knows about this awesome establishment. But round of applause for hosting. And you can find whatever you want here, which is what I love about it. Okay, so, all right, let's see. Sarah, we all set? Okay. All right, so today we're here to talk about our plan for downtown. And when we think about our downtown, first and foremost, we want to remind everyone how important downtown is to the city of Albuquerque and the state of New Mexico. There basically is almost 0 cities in America that are prosperous and thriving that do not have a thriving downtown. This has always been true. We always remind folks about this. It is the heartbeat of New Mexico. And because we're the largest urban area, and this is the only real urban area in the entire state, that's why this is so important to all New Mexicans. Now, we also know that downtown over the years has been through all sorts of iterations of all sorts of plans. And I want to acknowledge that. I also want to think about way back in 1994, which is, I was in high school, but I remember the last big downtown revitalization. And it was about Alvarado train station. It was about all the sort of motifs that you see on the stoplights and so forth. It was about the street lighting. And actually, for about 10 years, it was great. Downtown was truly on the up. Then we saw downtown essentially sort of flatline. And then after the housing crisis in 2008, frankly, downtown was on the rise again. And downtown, by any measure, was doing much better than it had been in the last 20 years in 2019, before the pandemic hit. And then the pandemic set downtown back for another several years, as we've seen. And this is where we are today. Downtown obviously continues to struggle, but it's struggling now with a general trend moving away from downtowns across America. And that has to do with the office space. And so we're going to talk about different aspects of this. But as I touch on this plan, as our speakers outline the different elements to it, I want to remind you a couple of things. We've announced pieces of this plan throughout the summer. We started this process in midsummer. It's included a lot of community stakeholders. It's been quarterbacked by our Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency. And where everyone agreed is that we need to get the fundamentals right in downtown. We've got the sort of glitzy showcase projects, the rail yards and now the rail trail. We have those. We also have what we're doing at the Blue Hotel, which is an MR project. So we have these things that normally you would identify as, sort of big moves downtown. Of course, the stadium was originally part of that, but we've moved on from that debate. So we have those things, but what everyone agreed is we actually now need fundamentals. We need a downtown that is safer. We need a downtown that is more pleasant to be in. We need a downtown that is easier to do business in. We need a downtown with more things to do. And I think also we need a downtown where more people live and work. And that dynamic is vastly different. This is why yesterday, as part of our housing plan, we announced something very important to downtown. So one key part of this plan is to set up a policy and regulation situation with respect to the IDO so that we can convert commercial real estate into residential housing. Because now that more people are working from home, we need them to also live downtown. So we're in a situation where we have high commercial vacancy rates and we have people who still want to live downtown and work downtown, but we don't have enough units even at a market rate. So that's something that we're looking at with respect to changing the character literally of all the tall buildings that you see. We want those tall buildings to be mixed use. They can be commercial, they can be residential. People can live there, they can work there. Most importantly, post-COVID, they can do both. And so that's one part of our downtown plan. The other part is, of course, safety. We've talked about our TEAM program. That stands for Targeted Enforcement, and that is the enhanced efforts. That's a public-private partnership, very similar to our Chiefs Overtime program in other communities, that continues its enhanced efforts downtown. And so that program, as we announced a couple of weeks ago, has been in place really for now about 5 weeks. And so, so far it's been well received, and we'll talk a little bit about those efforts as well. We also know we continue to have block by another name. And so it's community ambassadors. Duke City Community Ambassadors. So that program has been enhanced. We're continuing to do that. But on top of this, we're adding dozens of new lights in certain areas where there's, these are street lights, in areas where there's been hotspots for crime. We're working on activating parking lots, which have been the biggest locations for crime, or cracking down on parking lots where we continue to have crime. And we're also looking at putting up cameras. This has been the one tried and true method throughout America, and right now for us in Albuquerque, which is to activate all the different cameras that we have to make it a safer environment. The last thing is we're also working on our parking garages, which the city runs a lot of these, so that those garages also have cameras and that those staff are also part of our crime fighting efforts. So there's a number of things that we're going to highlight today, but it also includes activating downtown. And so we're going to talk about our storefront grants, which are designed to bring street level activity. We're also going to talk about what we're doing with nuisance abatement and board ups, that you still see those boards are illegal, and we have noticed every single owner of those buildings about those boards. And we're going to continue to take that further, whether it's fines and so forth. We're also trying to buy dilapidated properties like the Crest building, which that seller refuses to sell. So we're going to continue to go after these properties in a much more aggressive way. So these kinds of fundamentals behind the scenes are what we're layering underneath the larger projects that I mentioned. The rail trail, a fundamentally transformative project for generations to come. And of course, the rail yards, which we now have C&M students going to the rail yards for classes. This is the first tenant the rail yards has had in 30 years, since it was BNSF actually working on trains. It's also, we're on the cusp, not done yet, of that Film Academy concept that we're very optimistic by the end of the month we're going to nail down. And of course, the other buildings are activated for all sorts of other purposes. So this, again, is the first time we've actually seen not just talk or investment, but usage in those facilities. So the last thing I want to highlight is, for those of us who live and work downtown, we know also that we have challenges around individuals, unfortunately, suffering from homelessness, suffering from mental illness. But I want to remind everyone that we do go through downtown literally every single day, and we offer services to those folks. And when we have the Gateway 24/7 drop-off open, which is forecasted for about January, we're also going to have a place to take them where they can get help. And so all of those go together to, again, lay those fundamentals back downtown so that we have an environment that the private sector can really move in and utilize. So with more on each of these, let's hand it over to our MR director and really the quarterback of most of these efforts, Terry Bruner. Terry?
Thank you, Mayor. The Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency is a creative, interesting agency in our city government that has the ability to buy, sell, and redevelop properties, among many other things. And we have a lot of exciting development opportunities here in downtown. I don't think folks understand sometimes the realities that downtown really punches above its weight. In such a concentrated area, it's developing a lot of gross receipts, employment, property taxes, and we've seen the population increase by 60% since 2000. So there's a lot going on down here, and we're going to try to supplement that by building more housing with 300 more units coming online soon, launching an abatement program for property taxes for new developments. We have a project we'll be talking about later this week that's doing exactly that, and another round of funding for additional downtown housing that we'll be announcing in the next couple weeks. So housing is one thing we're going to try to really emphasize, getting more people down here, more families living downtown. And then we'll also be looking at going after our vacant buildings and storefronts that you see when you drive downtown. We already had a successful first round of funding for storefront grants, and we're going to be releasing shortly a second round of funding so that we can incentivize businesses to set up shop here in the first floor and get their storefront active. More active storefronts means more walkability, more pedestrians downtown, more people shopping and accessing the stores. And you've already heard about what we're doing on the rail trail. And I think it's important to note that the rail trail is more than just the trail. It's all the accoutrements you have along the trail, the buildings that we want to activate that might be bike shops or cafes and have other purposes, so that when you go down to the rail trail and you're riding or walking along the trail, there's lots of opportunities to do things along the way. So I can't overstate how much of an impact that will have here downtown. And the rail yards, of course, is still positioned for future investment and as an important location for folks around the city to head to. So there's a lot going on. The MRA, our Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency, will also be leading an interdepartmental team amongst city departments to emphasize and understand all the different things we do downtown. The mayor was talking about lighting and other things. There's street paving, there's sidewalk improvements, there's policing, there's all sorts of things, arts and entertainment that are going on that we want to capture and make sure folks in Albuquerque understand are going on. So that we're really changing the narrative around our relationship with downtown. So everybody across Albuquerque is feeling good about the improvements that we're making. And they understand what's going on and why it's going to make things better. There's a tremendous amount of work to be done in the Downtown Forward Plan that we're talking about today, but we're excited about building the energy around it and accomplishing some of these goals that really will set us on the right path towards making downtown the place that we here in Albuquerque and across the state want it to be, as a destination, the heart of our state, where people come to go to eat, to entertain, to live, work, play, all those things. So Metropolitan Redevelopment's excited for this opportunity and excited to get moving on downtown. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Terry. And now, when we think of downtown, a lot of folks who don't go downtown regularly aren't aware actually of the incredible arts and culture that are down here. Things like First Fridays and also some of our galleries truly are some of the best in the state. And they're really hidden gems for folks who don't know about them. And so with more on how we're activating downtown with arts and culture, our director, Shel Sanchez.
Thanks so much. I'm happy to be here talking about this because not only am I the Director of Arts and Culture, but I live downtown, I work downtown, I walk downtown, I go to lots of venues downtown. So all of this work is very meaningful for me on a personal level. I think the first thing to just point out is that the city actually manages several important venues downtown. The Chemo, the main library, Civic Plaza, Studio 519 on Central. These are all spaces where we are constantly doing programming, and as part of this, we're going to invest additional resources and really be building back. Some of these are indoor venues, especially the Chemo, and it's just kind of coming back after the pandemic. This is going to be our first full winter season with holiday shows where we have a fully booked season. So we're excited about that. And then there's other things that we are either bringing back because they worked really well before the pandemic, and then other things that we're going to really deepen our investment in. One of the things that has been very popular, not always perfect, is the Art Walk, often on First Fridays, and we're deepening our relationship with the Arts and Cultural District and the Art Walk organizers, and really planning for kind of Art Walk 2.0 in February 2023. So you'll see some changes, but you'll also see some real growth and focus on those events. In the spring, we're going to bring back a version of the open air gallery. So some of you might remember, if any of you remember 2019, 2018, it's a little fuzzy for me, but in 2018 we had a really great open air gallery that featured works from the Prado out on Civic Plaza. We'll be bringing a rotating exhibit to Civic Plaza, so we'll have an open air gallery featuring different artists, different kinds of artwork, so it's going to just be there for the public, and it'll be free, and it'll be in partnership with a lot of different voices. We're also bringing back City Bright. This is something we launched in 2019. If there's still one remnant of City Bright, these were light installations by artists on different downtown venues, buildings, and in windows, and so the Box Theater over on 2nd and Gold actually still has the installation that was put up by arts students from UNM is still in the window. So we'll be bringing that back. And this is something that lasts for several weeks. So it invites people to come down, early in the evenings, maybe after dinner, before dinner. So not necessarily a special event, but a special reason to come downtown and really engage in the area. We're going to have some projection mapping immersive installations and festivals in spring 2023 with some really talented local artists. Again, these are things that are great to do at night, but they're safe, they're inclusive, they really change the way you experience the space, either the buildings or the walls or indoor in vacant buildings. So these are some of the things that we'll be bringing as well. And we're also going to work with some of our local restaurants and coffee shops to do some ongoing promotions and really promote what they're doing to engage in the creative economy. Many of you know, if you go to coffee shops downtown, that one, there's a lot of them, two, they're delicious, and three, many of them feature artworks by our local artists. So we're gonna really ramp that up and build that connection with them. And then the last thing that we're really investing a lot of time and effort in is planning for the Route 66 Centennial. So this may sound like it's far, far away because it's in 2026, but we're really working towards launching that celebration in 2025. And downtown is right in the heart of Albuquerque's Route 66, and our Route 66 is the longest urban stretch of Route 66 in the country. Fun fact. So that's one of the things that we'll be doing, and that comes along with a lot more programming, partnerships with our business partners, and also some improvements in terms of lighting and signage and all of these things. So looking forward to all of that and more. If you haven't been downtown lately, there's going to be some good reasons for you to come and visit. Thanks.
And now with some update on the public safety aspect of this, Deputy Chief Josh Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So, there's been a lot of talk about the teams downtown, overtime, and everything else. So one of the things, what really affects downtown, what impacts downtown? Perception of safety. Since I took over as Deputy Chief of the field, we've really focused on enforcement. What does that mean for public safety? It means that, it's not going out and doing community policing events and things like that. It's if you come downtown to commit crimes, if you come downtown to disrupt people's socialization, disrupt economic development, we will take you to jail. It's that simple. The proactive enforcement is targeting those who are involved in criminal activity, from aggravated assaults, use of firearms, narcotics. Since the team's overtime began, we've actually gotten to where we've made multiple felony arrests, seized multiple firearms. We have ongoing investigations for fentanyl. We've made fentanyl seizures. These are the kind of things that impact our community and the folks downtown. We are here to make sure that everybody that comes downtown has that vibrant feel. You feel safe walking around. It's not just through sheer, officer presence. It's through the E and teams as enforcement. It's making sure that if you come downtown, there's an expectation of you will be safe. And if you come downtown to create havoc and make it to where people are unsafe or have that perception of feeling in danger, we're going to take you to jail. It's that simple. We focused on DWIs, citations. We've written over 300 citations since the team started. Modified exhaust, loud mufflers. These are the kind of things that make downtown less fun for everybody else. It's not cool, and we're not going to put up with it. So one of my directives to my field officers and everybody who works downtown is you will take enforcement. We're also here as ambassadors as well. If you need something, reach out to the officers that are downtown. If you have an issue or concern, reach out to the officers downtown. We have the full-time staffed officers that are downtown, and the teams aspect brings in that other portion of it that allows us to go that step further. They're not sitting in front of a store. They're not, just randomly taking calls. They're practically looking for people who are targeting people who are coming down here to have a good time. So, thank you.
And now we're fortunate to be joined by the president of our chamber. And Terry, you want to say a few words, right? So, other Terry. So, I just want to say that we're grateful that the Albuquerque Chamber, they're committed to downtown. And I know, there's always talk, businesses might leave downtown, this and that. And look, that's understandable and it's natural and it's not new. But throughout that, the Albuquerque Chamber has made a statement that they are never going to give up on downtown. And we appreciate that. And here with her perspective, Terry Cole, the CEO of the Albuquerque Chamber.
Thank you so much, Mayor. You know, as you were speaking earlier, you took me down memory lane, because at the Chamber I have been working many years on many different public policy issues, and one of them has always been downtown. So it is true that we have had a lot of ups and downs over the years with our work to renovate and revitalize downtown. No one ever thought that one of the moments in time we would be most challenged by, though, would be the pandemic that we all lived through and the effect it had on our downtown. So that's a challenge that we are thankful to have the mayor and his staff working with us on in the private sector to take that challenge on and come out of this pandemic that all of us lived through. As an organization, we believe that successful, thriving cities have successful, thriving downtowns. And a thriving downtown has to be both safe, and it has to be a place where people can work and live and have fun. And when we improve downtown, it brings quality of life and economic benefits to the entire city. We believe the Downtown Forward plan is well balanced. On one hand, it seeks to tackle the impediments to growth, and on the other, it seeks to bring new amenities and opportunities that will broaden the use of downtown and bring more people, residents and tourists, to the area. These things work hand in hand. We have to mitigate the impact of crime and homelessness so that everyone feels safe when they are in downtown. And we have to give more people great reasons to come downtown. On homelessness, I want to say that we appreciate the city's commitment to running continuous shuttles from downtown to the Gateway Center, where we will be safe 24/7 sheltering and well-coordinated, co-located resources for those who are homeless. And with respect to public safety, we do believe that bringing more officers into the downtown area, deploying more video cameras and other technology, and launching new substation in the heart of downtown will provide the kind of visible presence necessary for all of us in the area. Over the long term, we also believe we need to create a business improvement district, which we will be working with the mayor's office on. And finally, we're also very excited about the rail trail project. We believe it has wonderful opportunity, and we will be working closely with the mayor's office on that project. We're headed to DC in a few weeks, and we'll be trying to continue to create federal dollars for that project. So we are committed, and I think the most important point that I want to make is that the public and private sector is exactly on the same page, and that's what it takes to get the job done, and we intend to get the job done. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Terry. And I want to close with just highlighting the plan is online. It's right here. It exists. It has more details for folks who are interested in that. And I do want to highlight just sort of a little bit of by the numbers. Terry did mention that substation, which we are so excited to now have open downtown. There's $38 million in housing investment. There is $29 million in, 94 million in total investment downtown lined up as part of this plan. And also I know some publications who really love the numbers. Last year alone in downtown, we had 10,000 graffiti tag removals. We continue to do that. We had almost 200 encampment removals and 150 calls from ACS responded. That was in 2021. We're expecting to do all of that and more, and we're staffed up to do just that. So with that, I also want to thank Mark Baker's here. So we shout outs to 505. We did it again, but thank you for hosting us. And if Scientology would ever sell that building, I mean, we'd buy it. There was another run at it recently, and they added $2 million on top, like just for nothing. So anyway, I haven't forgotten about that. But let's do this. We can certainly take a few questions from folks if they have them.
Let's start with Emily.
Thank you. At the beginning of this, you mentioned, we've seen a number of plans, and a lot of this in the plan we've reported on before. Can you just one more time speak to and clarify what's new and different that's in this plan that we haven't seen?
There's a couple of things. One is it's consolidated in that these aren't one-off efforts. This is going to be a plan for the ongoing future that is integrated with the businesses and with the city. And before, they were just one-off initiatives. So we're going to keep doing these, until we sort of have to make modifications. That's the biggest thing. The other aspect is all the arts and culture items that you mentioned. These are sort of bringing back the best of that we've done before. That's new today, really, us sharing that. And also actually quantifying the numbers of the investments that are coming, whether it's that housing amount or whether it's the total that we're putting in downtown. And that's really important for what Terry Cole mentioned, for matching funding. So now we go to the state, we go to DC, and we say, hey, we're putting $100 million in. And so we have to line all that up in order to get those funds. So it's really sort of tying a bow around a lot of one-off initiatives and putting it together in a plan. The other aspect is it's an acknowledgement that maybe let me change analogies for a second to like baking or a recipe. We give so much attention to sort of the icing on the cake or the candles, which is like the rail trail and the rail yards. We want to take this moment to remind everyone, when we talk to people who live and work and own businesses downtown, they're less interested in that. They want those things. They want the fundamentals. They want a safe place. They want things to do. They want it to be clean. That's what they want. And that is a very different approach than coming in and saying, hey, we're going to do the rail trail and it's going to transform downtown. I think that's true. But I think in the meantime, we got to get the fundamentals right. And that's what this plan speaks to.
One more. And this is just about one of these projects. I think back in 2018, we had a press conference just like this for the Bank of the West Center that was supposed to be at 3rd and 4th. I've been trying to get an update on it. I think City Council approved, some millions in bond money for it. Is there an update on that project you can share?
Bank of the West Center. I don't even remember that.
Restaurant, work areas, like a whole thing.
Were you there for that?
I haven't done my research on this for
Was I there for that?
2018 was the initial announcement of it.
Sarah can follow up with you. It doesn't ring a bell, I have to tell you.
Stephanie, did you have any questions?
I just want to know on the public safety aspect, a lot of people, obviously, when they come to downtown, the general idea that they get is go to downtown during the day and don't stay late at night. How will this plan address people actually feeling safe if they come to downtown late at night and are able to enjoy late night food or go out to some of the nightclub areas without feeling like they have to come and leave before midnight because bad things happen after that time?
Well, one is, I know and understand how they feel, and I'm down here also, usually after a heavy metal show. And downtown can be a place that is very unwelcoming at night. So this includes, I would say, 3 specific things to deal with that. Number one, the team enforcement, the targeted enforcement program is over time sending a clear signal that if you do commit activity, we are going to catch you. And inevitably, that is going to deter crime from happening here or folks coming down here to commit crime. That includes stolen cars, it includes assault, it includes brandishing firearms and everything in between. So that's new and that's different. The second thing is lighting. Lighting has been a huge issue downtown, and our city was very behind on this issue. The issue where you walk to Central and you enjoy your entertainment, etc., but then when you walk to your car, that's usually when most of the crime occurs. And so this lighting aspect, in addition to the enhanced police station and police force downtown, are designed to help that. But the last part of this is also cameras. Now we're watching you, and that's another change that is new. So we think when you add these together, on top of the parking lot issue, so I've mentioned this before, some of you have heard of this, most of the crime occurs in parking lots or at people's cars. So we're working with the owners of the lot at Second and Central have been very collaborative, and we're working on an idea to actually not use that as a parking lot, maybe use it as a food truck sort of rodeo where people can eat and get food. But we have a lot of work to do on the parking lot down behind me, and that owner's not cooperative at all. And so we may close it, we may shut it down. We're going to do whatever we have to do to make this community safer, but we need the business owners to step up, and I think those are two very different stories of what's happening downtown.
We'll take 2 more questions before Peter.
Mayor, you mentioned the Crest building and the Gizmo building kind of in passing here. What would you like to see happen in an ideal situation with those 2 buildings, and is there any hope of that vision becoming a reality?
I will tell you straight up, the owners of the Gizmo building are essentially holding downtown hostage for money, and I'm sick of it. This is a private sector country, so no, I can't seize that property. Everyone wants me to. And you can't do that, that's illegal. But I know there's been multiple efforts to buy it, and they just add $2 million on it for no reason, just to extort whoever wants to buy it. And so the owners are out of California, so there's not a whole lot we can do. And, you know, we'll keep trying, but it'd sure be nice if they at least just sold at appraised value and let us move on with our city. The Crest building is a different story. Of course, there's a long history with the Crest building, and it kind of on again, off again, how we work with them. And I mean, someday I know they have plans to use it, and so I think that timetable is really on them. But you'd have to ask them for details on what to do with it. I don't know if the city has tried to buy it. I don't think we've actually looked at the Crest building because we love local owners, and because it's local, it's more about we have offered them money for storefront activation. And this is a good example. What Crest should do is take advantage of that funding to dress up the front and use it. And so hopefully they'll be one of our first applicants. So very different stories when it comes to Gizmo and when it comes to Crest.
Haley,
All right.
Mayor, last month when you opened up the downtown police station, you mentioned 2 parking lots that were up to the prime that you were looking at requesting the others for. Have they been cooperative since then, or are they still talking on that?
Yeah, we're in discussions with the owners at Second and Central, and they've been great to work with. They're just very collaborative, and we're meeting with them on a number of different ideas. As I mentioned, one of them is actually trying to kind of consolidate food trucks over there, because food trucks also on Central, when the bars sort of spill out, it's not the best place to have them. What you really want is people sort of, you do often want to have that, I mean, it's fun and it's tasty, we want food trucks. But where we put them and how we use them is something we're looking at, and they've been very helpful on that. Really been the opposite story from the other lot. All right, thanks so much, everybody.